All right, Nick, let's talk about the Georgia Bulldogs. One of the biggest questions in the entire Bulldogs offseason seems like it has been answered today, and it has been answered in potentially the biggest way that it possibly could have. I think the fans are going to love the news today.
Yeah, Miles, I agree with you 100%. This could be the move of the year for the Georgia Bulldogs football program. But before we get into this story, Bulldogs fans, got a question for you that I want you to answer in the comment section below. Obviously, you guys are riding high. You're in cloud nine. Everything's looking good. But let's take a step back away from the future and turn towards the past. And leads me into my question for you guys. Who is the greatest Georgia quarterback of all time? The guy you think the best quarterback in Georgia Bulldogs history? Give us that guy in the comment section below. But all right, Miles, let's go into our report. What's the big news out of Georgia?
Yeah, Nick. So if they look into the past, I think Bulldogs fans are riding on cloud nine as well. Coming off back to back national championships, people are thinking, oh no, Stetson Bennett has gone. A lot of key players on this defense are gone. Where is the answer? Where can we look for to see if Georgia can go and bring it back a third time for the three-peat national championship? That's the thought on people's minds, Nick. And I think the answer finally comes with the news today, and I'll get into the tweet over from Hayes Fawcett over on Twitter. He is very, very good at breaking college football news. So if you need to get your college football fix, go over and follow Hayes Fawcett on Twitter, Nick. But nonetheless, breaking news, 5-star QB Dylan Raiola tells me he has committed to Georgia. The 6'3", 220-pound QB from Phoenix, Arizona, chose the Bulldogs over Southern Cal, Nebraska, and numerous others. Raiola is ranked as the number 1 player in the 2024 class. Nick, this is huge. Georgia fans have been wondering who their quarterback is going to be, who is going to be the heir to the throne. Will they have somebody that's good enough? Everyone always questions Stetson Bennett. Was he good enough? Turns out he was. He was able to win them 2 national championships. Now, this guy is unquestionably, coming out of high school, undoubtedly the best quarterback that the Bulldogs could have possibly asked for. He has elite level arm talent. He seems like the real deal. Obviously, he's the number 1 overall player in the entire 2024 class. Not even just number 1 quarterback, number 1 player. Nick, I'm dying to hear, what are your thoughts on Raiola and his commitment to the Bulldogs?
So it's absolutely massive for a couple of reasons. I think the first big one is that this is a surest sign that the Georgia Bulldogs, what they've accomplished over the past few years, that was not some flash in the pan. That was not some miracle run. That wasn't just like a couple, 2, 3, 4 year window with an elite team. They're going to be really good at the top of the college football world for the extended future, right? This is what dominant programs do. They have an incredible run and they build off of it. They only get better. And you have a kid here in Raiola who a lot of recruiting rankings have him an even better prospect than the Arch Mannings, obviously at Texas, and then Nico Imalavea is now at University of Tennessee. Raiola, I think, is going to be better than those guys. I agree with a lot of the rankings. He has everything you'd ever want in a quarterback. But like we always talk about on the show, Mize, good recruiting begets better recruiting. You bring in top flight prospects. You bring more and more top flight prospects into the program. And that leads me into another report for you from this was actually from On3 Sports. So Ohio State has a commitment from 5-star wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. After Raiola made this announcement, this is what Jeremiah Smith said. Georgia getting Dylan means a lot to me and my interest in them. I have to really give Georgia a look now that they have Dylan. Georgia could potentially not only get Raiola here, but get this 5-star commitment to Ohio State to come into Athens as well. And there are going to be other guys falling on this train, right? This Georgia train and momentum behind it is just going to accelerate. And that's why getting this commit is so massive. Look, obviously the last 2 years were great. We'll see how 2023 shakes out. But their momentum into the 2024 class, which already was pretty good, just took another level. And it's just going to keep going. And it's going to build off of the 2024 into the 2025 into the 2026 and so on. And if Georgia can steal commitments away from Ohio State, a top 5, top 4 program in the country year in and year out, that proves to me anyway that Georgia is officially on a whole nother level. They may be the number 1 preeminent college football program in the country. Obviously, they won the national title, so they got into that ranking. But the fact that they're able to hang on there and get these recruits means they're not going anywhere. They are now the literally, no pun intended, top dog for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, Nick, I think this is really great. I think if I was a 5-star wide receiver, I would be looking at Georgia all day. Obviously,
Absolutely.
You won 2 back-to-back national championships, have the best quarterback in the country coming. You got to start thinking about going to Georgia. But I think another cool thing about Raiola, another tie to the Bulldogs a lot of people don't think about, is his comps to a guy like Matthew Stafford.
Yep, exactly.
He's been a comp to Matthew Stafford many, many times. He has a very similar game as Stafford did. But Raiola, and his father Dominic was a teammate of Matthew Stafford on the Detroit Lions.
Yeah.
So, there's a tie-in there. He's been, compared to Stafford many times, but there's a family tie-in there for Raiola's father, Dominic, and Matthew Stafford, both being teammates on the Detroit Lions. So I think that was a really cool, tie-in there. It's almost like he was destined to go to Georgia. So nonetheless, I think this is very exciting for Bulldogs fans, and I just can't wait to look at the news because I think there's going to be a lot of big-time commitments coming Georgia's way in the very near future.